Hey, how's it going? Today I'm going to be doing my semi-professional review of the Continental Gatorskin Hardshells in the 28mm. And more specifically in this video, I'm going to go into the topic of wider tires. That's a question that a lot of people probably have. Why do we want a wider tire? Why do we need a wider tire? Is this something that's going to be an advantage to us? These are all great questions, and I'm here to answer them all in this one video. So you can probably hit the 1.5 thing if you're just kind of get bored and you don't want to listen to me talk, but honestly this information is so valuable if you're a cyclist and you're looking for a comfortable bike, or you have a bike and you don't think it is as comfortable as it could be, or something like that. But I want to talk about the Gatorskins. I've done an impressions video about the black edition if you want to go and watch that, but the Gatorskin Hardshells, handmade in Deutschland. They are a great tire. A lot of people say that they lose grip and they don't necessarily hold their own on the road. I disagree with that to an extent. In the cold, yes, maybe they would lose a little bit of grip. I've ridden these tires in like 20-degree weather, but the thing is, in Fahrenheit, by the way. I live in the United States, so I use Fahrenheit. But these tires, just, you know, I did a 71-mile ride the other day, and they were fine. They were really good tires. And people are very quick to think wider tires are sluggish or they're not worth it. Now, instance number one where I'd highly recommend someone go with the wider tire is if you have a disc brake road bike, which I've got right here. This is a Trek Amonda SL6 with disc brakes, and so it has Ultegra level disc brakes. And the advantage of a wider tire with a disc brake bike is that you have more traction on the ground, so you get to use more of your modulation without just skidding out as easily, because that's the whole reason that the industry wants to go with disc brakes, is because they really want to put people on a wider tire so they can run a lower PSI while still having, you know, the top PSI kind of recommended for that tire. So I run 90 PSI in these tires, but when I was using 25s or 23s, I'd run about 100. I know some people would run about 110 or 120 if they have 23s or 25s, but in this I run about 90 because the lower tire pressure, sometimes in some instances, from my understanding, you can get more of that, the tire's a little bit squishy. It's not anything that you're really going to notice by just pressing on it, but it's going to get more of the road. It's going to get more traction on the road, which is why we have disc brakes. You know, you have a lot of stopping power, but you need to have traction on the road to take advantage of that stopping power and modulation. So that is why we have wider tires on disc brake road bikes. And, you know, something like a 32mm tire, which someone, you know, I hear people say it all the time. I don't know if it's like an ego thing or whatever, but they're like, oh, I don't need 32s. 32mm tires are for old people, or whatever they want to say. Personally, I don't use 32s. I've ridden bikes with 32s, but not for very long. Just like kind of a quick test ride. Oh, it's a little bit secretive. But something about 32mm tires will come up on this channel later. That's all I'm going to say. But they are, you know, something I've heard people complain about if they're used to a really zippy tire. But the reason why do we have 32mm tires? You can run 70 PSI all the time. The top PSI recommended for a 32mm tire, or the ones that I've seen, is 70 PSI. And if you run that top recommended PSI, you are very unlikely to get a flat tire. That is, you know, one of the reasons I kind of disagree with the whole tubeless thing. No, I haven't tried tubeless. I would do a video on this, but I feel like I just should be more educated on it before I talk about something like that. But what I can say, I've been scared of tubeless because I've heard people, well, some people love it, which is really great, but I've heard like horror stories of liquid leaking out of the valve, and you know, people breaking their thing anyways, or carrying a tube with them anyways. You see, the only reason I would actually want to go tubeless is so I wouldn't have to carry inner tubes with me, and I could just make my load lighter. That is the only reason I would want to go tubeless. And I am still advised to carry an inner tube with me, so it's kind of useless for me. But the reason, you know, tubeless, I feel like it's not taking off and they're kind of pushing this wider tire trend is because, like I said, you can run like lower PSI, because they recommend lower PSIs for wider tires, and you're less likely to get a flat tire in the first place. So you can just run clinchers and not be scared of getting a flat tire. So that is another reason why I think, you know, wider tires are becoming more of a standard. First is disc brake road bikes. Second is people just wanting to avoid pinch flats and run a lower tire pressure all the time, and while having a comfortable tire, because if people want to run a lower tire pressure, they want a more comfortable bike, which that wide tire actually does as well. So it's really good double purpose thing for, you know, the rider of the bike. And I think it's a really great thing that the industry is doing, that's giving people like options. I think anybody, if you have a disc brake road bike, I would not run anything less than a 28. Why? Just what I said, because you're not gonna be able to take advantage of all that power. And just, you know, you ever hear someone who doesn't know shit about bikes, or just sees your road bike or whatever, and they'll think, wow, look at those skinny ass tires. Well, that's because, you know, they are skinny, and, you know, rim brakes on road bikes, they design them perfectly because that's kind of all you need with that amount of contact to the ground to slow the bike down. Now, if you have disc brakes, that's really great, but the thing is, with a 25mm tire, it's a little bit skinny, and I feel like you're more likely to skid. And part of the advantage of a disc brake is that you can run a wider tire, and you can run that lower PSI, because those wider tires recommend a lower PSI for the highest PSI, like the optimal one, which, you know, you're least likely to get a pinch flat. And, you know, that being said, I've been running 28mm tires, and I have been so happy with them. They've been very comfortable, especially on this Trekkimanda here with the carbon fiber frame. It has been a really great experience running those wider tires. Now, they are a little bit heavier, I will say that is a thing, but on this particular bike, just going for those long rides where you want to be comfortable, I'm really a fan of those long rides at a low intensity that really build your strength. That's really my style. You know, I can do fast stuff. You know, I do fast stuff, you know, with my friends. You know, I have some crazy friends that, you know, we've done some hill repeats, and I literally threw up the 8th or 9th time up because it's just at a high intensity, and I'm not really used to that. But that's good. That's a good thing, you know, just to do any type of bike ride to round out your fitness. I think that's a really great thing. But, you know, like I said, I'm doing these long rides at low intensity. That's what I like doing. That's what I prefer doing. And I think it's equally as challenging as maybe doing an hour ride at a high intensity. It's just a different type of training. But, you know, for that sort of instance, I think this setup is really great. Even if you are doing that, you know, shorter ride at high intensity, what you can do, if it's a bit heavier, you can run a latex inner tube, and then you can run kind of a race tire. So I have the Continental Gatorskins in the 28, just because I don't really want to deal with flats all the time. But you could get a Continental 5000, and you could run a latex tube and still have 28s. And the rolling resistance, and that's another thing I want to get into, the rolling resistance. From my understanding, under a certain speed, the rolling resistance is going to save you more watts just in general for like the average rider, whereas aerodynamics start to take over at a certain speed, where that's when that 25mm tire is going to be a bit better because it's just a bit more aerodynamic. So that is my understanding of that in the rolling resistance argument. You know, there's a great video out there. Someone got the new Trekkimanda. They put like 32mm Continental 5000s on it, and it was really interesting to see, and you can fit that. So that is a really great advantage of these wider tires. Any of you running a disc brake road bike, I'd recommend you go at least 28, honestly. You're not going to regret it. It's going to be more comfortable. You're going to get more modulation, less rolling resistance at certain speeds, and you could run a latex inner tube if you really want to save that weight. So that is my recommendation. Really happy with the Gatorskin Hardshell. One thing I don't like is this little red texturing pattern here, I guess it's just part of the style. I really like on the black editions how it's just stealthy and you only see, you know, most of the lettering's blacked out. I'm just, you know, I don't know, the little red here, it just seems kind of out of place to me, but I don't know. I'm like super OCD, so that's probably just a me thing. If you love it, you love it. I'm happy for you, but for me, I don't know. I'd rather you just have kind of the black and yellow going, but very great tire nonetheless. 0 flats since I put them on, which is kind of amazing. I'm just so happy every time I don't have to change another flat tire. Like if I have to change a flat tire like once in a while and I don't have to be somewhere, like I'm not rushing into work or something, that's fine. But you know, if you really got somewhere to be, you know, you're late for work or whatever, it just really sucks to get a flat tire. So it's so nice that these have the puncture resistance that you would really be looking for. And you know, if you're worried about that, I'd highly recommend Gatorskin Hardshell. You will not be disappointed. Just pumped them up to, like I said, with the 28, I go to 90 psi. I've been perfectly fine. And actually, something cool before I go, this guy on the back, someone I work with, actually knows this dude, which is kind of crazy in New York City because they're from Brooklyn. But yeah, this dude here, someone I work with knows this dude on the back of the box, which is, I don't know, that's just cool. I thought I would mention that. But I'm super happy. Big Continental fanboy here. I don't know if you noticed. I haven't tried a ton of other brands. I guess Michelin's are supposed to be pretty good. Pirelli's are supposed to be pretty good. You know, a lot of the, you know, brands are doing car tires, doing bicycle tires, which I think is really sweet because I started out as a car guy. But yeah, I'm happy. If you haven't noticed, stay tuned. I'm going to be doing another video on fenders and the benefits of fenders and how they work in conjunction with wider tires. So if you got any questions about what kind of tires you should run or anything like that, definitely leave in the comments below and I'd be happy to help you out. And if you have any questions about the vegan diet's where it's at, recycling, let me know. And hey guys, stay vegan out there. Love you.